And welcome back to Thumbs Up South Florida. Today I have with me Josh Blum from Wellspring Lending, and covering a topic that I think is such good information out there for so many different reasons. And I'm going to have some explanation as to why one should consider the topic of expertise, which is on the reverse mortgage industry. Tell me a little bit right now how you actually decided to get into this particular industry of deciding to work with reverse mortgages.
Denise, I spent a number of years, over a decade actually, working directly with financial advisors and helping them implement retirement income tools.
Right.
And so my background has always been financial planning focused and working with financial advisors. And what I found is most clients are really underprepared for retirement.
I couldn't agree with you more.
And yet almost 68% of their wealth on average is tied up in their house. And we really don't focus on that when we do our traditional financial planning for clients. And so I was introduced to this idea not that long ago and really dug into the research and the studies and found out that there was overwhelming research showing that we need to start integrating this into our financial planning. However, unfortunately, as a financial advisor, you really can't marry home equity planning into what you traditionally do.
It doesn't work together. It's you choose a lane to work with, you could be informed, but refer out to see who could actually help that person.
Exactly right. Yeah. And so when I realized that, I realized I could serve a really great opportunity for financial advisors and clients alike and help marry what my traditional foundation was with this idea of home equity planning and do something truly unique for the marketplace.
I'll tell you, you really bring what I call a hybrid of experience, because you're working with your previous experience as an advisor, financial advisor, transitioning into reverse mortgage, and that in itself creates a lot of similar information that helps in the overall financial planning. So you can actually speak to both worlds in a plan for a couple or a family or whoever is going to have to consider something as important as a reverse mortgage. So tell me about the process of the reverse mortgage and how some of the scenarios that could be one of the best outcomes in making a decision to do a reverse mortgage.
So it always starts with planning, always. And truly, I love to work with financial advisors early on and really make sure that whatever we're doing is not done in a vacuum. We're looking at the entire retirement plan for clients to ensure that it makes sense. But for those clients that it does, typically what we do is we sit down with them, we explain why it might make sense, and the process really begins with the same sort of interview you might have with a client, which is to understand what are their assets and what are their concerns, what are their real objectives here. And if their objectives and their concerns align with what a reverse mortgage can do as a solution, then we walk them through the appraisal to ensure that we understand the value of the house. And then we start to plan exactly how we're going to structure the reverse mortgage.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you could certainly team up with other financial advisors or even someone that has a current financial advisor that can have a discussion with you about maybe this is something that could be an add-on to their overall plan as they're looking at their financials, estate planning, and so on. So along the lines of what does the process look like? So I'm sitting in front of you and ultimately say, you know, I think it's a pretty good idea, we should do that. What does that look like?
So in many ways, it's just like a traditional mortgage application. We're going to fill out a bunch of paperwork. It's quite a bit, unfortunately, for people. And we're going to take a look at the house. We're going to have the house appraised to make sure that it is in good condition. We're going to make sure that people want to age in place, because that's an absolute requirement for a reverse mortgage.
All right, stop right there. Age in place. Tell me what that means.
One of the #1 goals for many people today is to find a comfortable place to age. Most people don't want to go into a facility. In fact, 95%, they want to stay at home.
Well, naturally,
So we want to make sure, however, that this is your final home. If you're going to use a home equity conversion mortgage or a reverse mortgage, it is not a cheap transaction. It does come with cost. And if you stay in your home long term, it really helps amortize that cost. It reduces that cost over time.
It's break-even point eventually. For what you put out up front, it breaks out evenly as you go down the road. Okay. So let's say now we've gone through the process, and what happens? Does a check happen at closing? Do they get something that's deposited into their account and they have all this cash? What does that look like, and how does it repay back?
Well, truly, a reverse mortgage, first and foremost, it creates access to equity. It doesn't mean I have to take it. It's just creating access. And a lot of the planning tools that we talk about with clients is using this to not necessarily just pay down debt, but how do we create access to liquid assets
Okay.
so that if we have an issue down the road,
All right.
we have money immediately available to address it. So if, for
Okay.
example, we have financial shocks
Okay.
to our retirement plans, we have a sleeve available already to prevent the worst case scenario, which is
Right.
the depletion of our traditional retirement assets.
Okay, so really we have to have a home or a scenario where it could be the actual applicant or the family sits together, makes a decision. This is probably the best thing to do, is to use the equity we have in our home. And you know what, Mom and Dad? You can actually stay there and age in the home with your comfort of what you're accustomed to now. And in the end, with the actual monies that come from the transaction, let's say we fast forward and it's over a number of years. Is that right that the mortgage is set up?
It's traditionally something you're going to use as long-term planning, so
It is.
you can
Okay.
anticipate for the remainder of your life, yes.
Well, I have really never thought out the best way to bring this to the table, but I so appreciate what you've shared because it makes a lot of sense. It takes the scare out of what is a reverse mortgage, what is it really best used for? And I really love the fact that it talks about your aging in your home. I think that's amazing. And we want our families to stay in a home, and how many of us would want that for just the general comfort? Well, Josh, thank you so much for sharing with us. This is great nuggets of information. What's the best way for them to reach you to talk more about the reverse mortgage process?
Well, I think it always starts with the conversation, Denise. My phone number is 203-648-6060, and I'm happy to speak with anybody who might be considering this today or down the road. Or you can meet me at my website, www.wellspringlending.com.
Well, Josh, thanks so much for being with us again today. Great nuggets of information, and I really look forward to having you here to talk more about what the reverse mortgage successes has been. And that's it for now. We'll be back. Thumbs up, South Florida.